Okay, this is Stalking. They had said, all the fellows in the mess, that while Trumbull was in Rajpur, he simply must go on a tiger hunt. A tiger hunt on elephant back, no less. To hear them all talk, there wasn't any point in going to the place at all unless he clambered up onto the vile, dangerous beast and rode it into a reeking, overgrown wilderness of other vile, dangerous beasts in pursuit of the vilest and most dangerous beast of them all. Trumbull was less than eager to undergo this idiotic and bloodthirsty rite of passage, but as a representative of Her Britannic Majesty and a guest of the Maharaja, he knew he must. So, when the guide in the Mahout knocked him up well before dawn on a steaming Indian morning, he decided to grit his teeth and get on with it like a good civil servant he was. They said it was the generals and soldiers who kept India British, but Trumbull, a soldier in name only, who hated the sight of blood, knew perfectly well that it was the bureaucrats and administrators like himself who made sure things in this vast and complicated colony ran. If not like clockwork, then, well, at least they ran, which was more than one could say of the Belgians in their Congo. Trumbull loved paperwork. He loved the feel of a steel pen in his hand, the strong, delicate arc of the nib, the smell of ink, the solid official color of it. He loved the aroma of paper, from cream-laid stiff certificate weight to the thinnest, finest whisper of delicate notepaper. He loved figures, too. He loved account ledgers and double-entry bookkeeping. He loved to put things in columns. He often wished all of his life could be made as logical as were his ledgers. Credit and debit, that was all you needed. And a sum total at the bottom. He loved totting up numbers on an abacus. He owned several for this purpose, at home and in the office, and loved to use the plural, abaci. What Trumbull did not like, in ascending order, were India generally, Rajpur specifically, wet heat and full of mosquitoes, hunting, elephants, and tigers. He wasn't exactly afraid of these animals, but he certainly wasn't fond of them. And besides, if he was afraid, it was with damn good reason. If he could just get this tiger hunt over with and get back to his sums, he had been sent out from Bombay to assist with the Maharaja's taxes, he would be a happy man. And perhaps, having been on one himself, he'd never have to listen to Fairweather's tedious elephant-backed tiger hunt stories again. Kareem had been a mahout ever since he was a tiny child, and his father, also a mahout, had delighted him by getting Sudhir, the elephant, to lift Kareem up with her trunk and place him gently on her back. He had grown up with Sudhir, and she was his favorite of the Maharaja's stable, gentle and obedient, with a beautiful, intelligent light shining in her great, long-lashed eyes. She had not been born in captivity, like many of the other elephants, but caught as a baby, wandering alone in the jungle. Poachers had killed her mother. They'd come across the body in a clearing of giant banyan trees, and Kareem, superstitiously, had always avoided that part of the jungle as sacred to the elephant's mother's memory, despite it being well near a trodden hunting route. Kareem loved elephants, and Sudhir in particular. When he did not particularly enjoy was having to babysit Europeans who didn't have the first clue about tiger hunting, just because the Maharaja wanted to give them stories to tell over their English chins back in Bombay. But he was a good servant, and so he roused the visitor at 5 a.m. as directed, and together they went into the jungle to shoot a tiger. The tiger had lived in the jungle for a very long time, and he had stayed alive, not because he hadn't been hunted several times, but because he knew the ways of the upright apes with their exploding sticks, and was wise to how they went about trying to kill him and his kind. Often they stalked on their own feet, but the pale ones seemed to prefer to ride on an elephant, as though stealth and silence were not the two essentials of hunting, as though they could deafen their prey into their trophy bags. The tiger knew that the exploding sticks could kill and wound from afar, and thus it did not do to leap out and attack when the creatures came after you. He had seen many die that way. No, what you must do is lie low, stay quiet, and only attack from behind when the apes were on their feet. Apes made good eating, which is why he did not mind so much being hunted by them. So far, he had feasted royally on 3 dark-skinned apes and a pale one. He watched, nose twitching at the rank musk of elephant, as the great gray creature lumbered by. 2 apes clung atop her, a pale and a dark. The pale would be better prey. He could smell the fear from here. They say elephants do not forget, and it was true of Sudhir, whose only memory of her mother was crying beside her body as the shadowy branches of giant banyan trees loomed over her. She did not like dark places. Unlike many elephants, she did not like the jungle. But she loved Kareem, and so when he took her into the jungle on a hunt, she obeyed his every command, without question or demur. She was by far the most obedient elephant in the stables, but only Kareem could command her. Which was why, when Kareem was knocked out cold by a lashing branch, and Trumbull attempted to direct her back to the palace using only kicks, blows, and English swear words, Sudhir panicked. She did not know where she was, but she could smell the bloody stench of tiger on the air, and so she stumbled on, hooting in terror, straight ahead through thick vegetation, following no path except that of her blind fear. It was terrible, ill luck that her route led directly to the banyan clearing where she had lost her mother so long ago. It was even worse luck that Trumbull chose this moment to abandon ship, as it were, trying to clamber out of a lurching howdah on Sudhir's back and drop to the ground. He didn't make it to the jungle floor because the tiger, sensing a supreme opportunity to banquet on tasty man flesh, chose that moment to leap. But the worst luck of all was the tiger's. He had never encountered an angry elephant before, and never would again. For once Sudhir had rampaged madly around the clearing, trumpeting, trampling, and snorting, her great gentle eyes rolled back in her head. There wasn't very much left of him, or Trumbull, that wasn't mashed into the forest floor. Kareem was flung away, landing unhurt in a soft patch of jungle moss. But then, Kareem had always been lucky. And the moral of the story is that no creature rules in nature's kingdom. Hunter becomes prey, and both become carrion, food for the worms and the snickering jackals, and the smallest, humblest crawling insects that love the taste of tiger blood and man blood just the same. Good night.